Welcome once again to O Reacts, and today is part 2 of Islam is going viral. And we have no doubt that it is. Now, the last episode, the first one, it was alright. It was alright. I kind of regret it, if I'm going to be totally honest with you, because I didn't really watch the video ahead of time. And I thought it was going to have a few different people on there speaking about Islam and why it's booming, basically. And, you know, so many conversions and all that stuff. And because the title has said that, it had like multiple names. So I'm thinking, oh, okay. But then I do the video, which I didn't pre-watch, and it was none of that. It was just one guy, super liberal Muslim, which I don't like. I'm not a fan of, okay? But I kept it. And so you know what? The best thing I could do right now is just do another one that's better. So that's what I'm coming with right now. What better to do than to go with the CJ Werleman Show? He always has great stuff on this. So we're going to get right into it. Let's go.
Hello everyone, I'm CJ Werleman. Don't forget to click the subscribe button below, and we kindly ask you please help keep our show going and growing by supporting my journalism at patreon.com/CJ Werleman. Now let's get into it. Islam is not only the world's fastest growing,
And he does do a great job, I gotta say,
religion, having grown from 1.6 billion followers in 2013 to 2 billion today, but it will also be the world's largest religion by 2050. The year the total Muslim population will exceed 3 billion people. And there's absolutely nothing these guys can do about it. Not him, nor him, and certainly not her. Because Islam is proving to be an unstoppable force. Right. And not because it's being spread forcibly, but because the Prophet Muhammad made it easy to understand.
Very true, very true.
But what many people tell me is that they find Islam much more simpler than Christianity. So, for example, they'd say, look, in Christianity...
And I have to say, that's something that I found as a former Christian. To be honest, I didn't really... I can't even say I understood Christianity either. Like, growing up, it didn't really make sense to me. You know, and I just kind of believed the parts that I wanted to believe, the parts that did make total sense. There's one God. But then, once it came to like the Trinity stuff and that kind of stuff, I never really believed in that, to be honest. It just didn't make no sense to me. Anytime I ever prayed to God as a Christian, I never, ever prayed to Jesus. I always prayed to God. It only felt right. But let's continue.
You guys have to believe in a Trinity. You know, there's one God.
Oh, and that's the other thing I was going to say is that when I learned about Islam, it actually taught me more than I ever knew about Christianity, to be honest. I learned a lot more after I became Muslim, to be honest. I was trying to understand it when I went back to it after leaving being a 5%er. I tried to understand it, but it just wasn't making sense to me. I would have had to been a total phony to pretend that it made sense to me. And I just can't play with God like that. Like, you can't fool him. But anyway, I'm talking too much right now. Let's continue.
God who exists as 3 persons, but they're not 3 gods. They're one God, but different persons. And that's kind of complicated. In Islam, we have it simple. There is just one God who exists as one person.
Obviously, Islam will continue to grow at a steady and predictable rate in Muslim-majority countries. But what I find really fascinating is how the religion is growing in countries where Muslims represent a tiny minority of the population. I'm talking about Japan, South Korea, Mexico, and many others. Because what...
I wasn't expecting that, huh? Wasn't expecting that, huh?
makes these countries captivating case studies is the way in which their respective Muslim populations are growing organically and not by immigration. It's important to tell these stories because we counter Islamophobia by promoting a deeper understanding of Islam. Because yes, while it remains the world's fastest growing religion, it also remains the least.
Did he say Islam? Islam? I don't know why he says it like, well, he is, I think he's Australian, so he got to get a pass. He get a pass. Plus, he do a lot for us.
Understood. But we start with South Korea, where the Muslim population has grown to 200,000, which is a remarkable achievement given Islam was banned in the country until as recently as 1910, when Korea pursued an isolationist policy.
Wow, I did not know that. Interesting.
It wasn't until the 1950s when Islam was introduced to the Korean people by members of the Turkish military, who came to fight alongside South Korean soldiers during the Korean War.
They ask to help.
Hey, that'll get you some points, huh? You help them in war, risking your life for another nation. I mean, you know, that has to go some ways.
Us again in Korea, we go to help you. Of course, I'm 88, but that's what we like to do.
I mean, how can anybody not love that guy? Well, South Koreans love him too, as they do all Turkish people, which is why the two countries have forged an incredibly close...
Oh, look at that. South Koreans see Turks as blood brothers because they were spilling blood with them. You know, when you fight a war and you help somebody out in that, I mean, it doesn't get bigger than that.
Bond over the past 70 years. This relationship has allowed Islam to flourish. Watch this Korean woman explain how she became a Muslim.
근데 제가 공부를 하면서 아랍 역사를 공부하다 보니까 자연스럽게 이슬람 역사까지 이렇게
Hey, mashallah to the sister and the brothers. What kind of hijab is that? I'm just, if anybody knows what kind of hijab that is, please put it in the comment section. I would love to know. I never even seen one like that. Let's continue.
알게 됐거든요. 근데 당시에 좋은 책이 별로 없어서 공부하는데 꽤 애를 먹었었어요. 뭐 인터넷을 뒤져도 한국어로 된 좋은 정보 같은 것도 별로 없었고 그래서 이슬람 서원에도 이제 제가 많이 방문하고
Look at what she said. She's talking about it. It's not an easy read because there's not a lot of books in her language pertaining to Islam. So it's not easy to learn about it, which I have to say, this is a huge need right now because it's, like I said, it's going viral. It's spreading everywhere. I mean, it's all over the world already, but the way it's spreading now, it's just going crazy. That's why I say it's viral. And with that, you need a lot of translations. Me being Hispanic, I know the need for it. There's not enough, and there's some brothers, mashallah, some Hispanic brothers that are definitely working towards that, and they've translated a number of books, and they're doing a great job. Mashallah to them, may Allah reward them. But this is something that's clearly more needed, even just in the Hispanic community. So I could just imagine in places like Korea, Japan, and places like that. I could just imagine. But this is the great thing about it is this is a great opportunity for these new reverts to be able to give back. I mean, you can do historical things. Imagine you're one of the first to translate, let's say, Riyadu Salihin or something. You know, imagine you can translate that in Japanese and you're the first to do that. Imagine the rewards behind that. That's huge. I mean, that's a historical thing. You know, not just translating Quran, but also translating, you know, the many books of knowledge. This is huge. So this is a great work that all these new reverts can work towards. So I think this is a huge opportunity for huge blessings. Anyway, let's continue.
하고 그러면서 무슬림들하고 교류도 하고 그렇게 이슬람에 대해서 좀 알게 되는 계기가 됐죠. 네.
Her story is typical of the Korean Muslim experience, but since converting to Islam in 2007, Bora Song has become somewhat of an Instagram star with more than 180,000 followers, and she uses her social media influence to help Koreans better understand Islam.
Mashallah.
When Koreans aren't learning Islam from Muslims like Bora Song, they are converting to the religion after working or traveling through the Middle East or nearby Muslim-majority countries, Indonesia and Malaysia. There are many paths to the top of the mountain, so to speak.
Korean citizens, they are very, how can I say, interested toward understand about Islam. In case of Seoul Central Masjid, we can say maybe every year, the number of embrace Muslim, new Muslim, I mean, more than 100 persons.
Sadly, many Koreans continue to have big misunderstandings about Islam, mostly because local media began linking the religion to terrorism in 2007. The year 23 Korea.
You know you're always going to get the backlash, always. You're always going to get the haters. They're always going to be there.
And missionaries were kidnapped by the Taliban, 2 of whom were killed before the South Korean government reached a deal for their release. The saga dominated media headlines for weeks, creating a negative impression about Islam that persists today.
위험하다거나 이런 생각 혹시 드세요? 그것도 어떻게 보면은
Damn terrorists.
편견 같은 거긴 한데 이게 계속 저희가
Messing it up for everybody.
접하는 그 사람들에 대해서 접하는 거는 미디어밖에 없고
네, 맞아요.
항상 뭔가 이렇게 터지고 되게 사건에 대해서만 접하다 보니까 약간의 시선이 안 좋게 가는 건 있는데 그래도 최대한 색안경을 빼고 보려고는.
Earlier this year, Muslim students faced local backlash after building a mosque on campus grounds.
Here is a representative of the KNU Muslim students community, and the community is comprised of more or less 150 Muslim students. This place is not some new place for us because we have been praying here from past 7 years, and now like after feeling the need for it because the Muslim students are larger in number, so they were not able to pray properly in the previous place, so we started the construction of this place.
You can see why anti-Islamophobia activists, including us, must do more to dispel misunderstandings about Islam in Korea. We now turn to South Korea's neighbour to the west, the island nation of Japan, where Islam has experienced exponential growth during the past 20 years.
Wait a minute. Neighbor to the west. Isn't Japan to the east of Korea? But anyway, I don't know why I'm criticizing the brother. I need to stop.
In fact, the total Muslim population in the Asian country has doubled in the past decade, from 110,000 in 2010 to 230,000 in 2019, with native Japanese converts accounting for roughly 25% of the Muslim population. This growth is matched by the number of mosques being built across the Japanese archipelago.
According to multiple scatter reports throughout the last 2 decades, back in 1970, there were only 2 mosques in Japan. In 2001, the number increased to 24. In 2017, the number was 90. And currently, there are 115 mosques in the country. A direct evidence of exponentially greater growth of Islam in Japan.
What really makes Japan stand out as a host to a minority Muslim population is the near total absence of Islamophobia. Remarkably, Muslims are welcome to practice their faith in accordance with Islamic principles, even in public.
Shout out to Japan. How about that? MashaAllah.
Most Muslims should know about life in Japan and living in Japan as a Muslim is that it's extremely comfortable to live as a Muslim, even more so than...
I wonder if this guy is full Japanese. He looks like he might be mixed. Let me ask you something. Do you think if you become Muslim, you start looking more Arab? Was that racist? I don't know. They say, hey, listen, everybody thinks I'm Arab. Everybody. When I tell people I'm not Arab, they don't believe me. When I tell Arabs I'm not Arab, they don't believe me. I'm telling you. And I mean, like, they really don't believe me. Matter of fact, I'll tell you a funny story. One time there was this, I used to work in this, it was a restaurant, right? Long time ago. And so there was this brother used to come, right? And I used to always give him salam alaikum, and this and that, right? And every time he used to say, Arabi. And I'm like, nah. I'm Puerto Rican, this and that. And he's like, no, you Arabic. You Arabic for sure. And I'm like, nah, I'm really not. He's like, what's your name? And I'm like, Omar. So, which is an Arabic name. But Hispanics use Omar too. It's not I understand we got it from Arabic, and it's an Arabic name, but Hispanics use that name too. So that just further confirmed to him that, I was actually Arab. And then, so I keep telling him, and every time he comes, he swears. I mean, he's like, why you don't want to talk Arabic? Why you want to pretend like you're not Arab? Why you, I'm just denying it? And I'm like, why would I ever, if I was, why would I deny it? There's no reason to deny it. And so one day, this one brother, yes, he comes. He's working with us. So he comes to the front. I see the brothers there, like always, like, yeah, no, you Arabic. I'm like, yes, man. Will you tell him what I am? He's like, yeah, Arabic. And I'm looked at him, and the guy was like, I knew it. And I'm like, so it's a story that always makes me laugh. I was mad at him, but I can't lie, it was pretty funny. That was a good one. Anyway, let me get back to the video.
Many Muslim countries. The reason I say that is because I don't see any restrictions on practicing my religion. Living in Japan as a Muslim, we have mosques, we have halal food, and there is a large Muslim community, actually, we can hang out with, we can talk to. So I think we feel quite comfortable living in Japan as a Muslim.
Our final stop on this short tour around the world is Mexico, where the Muslim population has grown from 50,000 in the early 1990s to 120,000 today, which is astonishing in such a devoutly conservative Christian country. Curiously, the village of San Cristobal, in the state of Chiapas, has been home to a Muslim majority since a Spanish Muslim missionary visited there in 1994.
Lo único que recuerdo fue como este centro que tenemos aquí, estaban sentados en el suelo y estaban cantando algo que yo pues prácticamente no entendía. Y eso fue lo que me llamó la atención. Invité a mi papá, mi mamá, mis tíos, primos, abuelos, gente que conozco de infancia, los llevé y afortunadamente pues todos se hicieron musulmanes y ahí es donde empezó a crecer la comunidad.
Today, Islam is not...
That's amazing, man. That is beautiful. Wow, man. MashaAllah.
Only become the fastest growing religion in Mexico, but also the fastest growing among Latin American migrants.
Shout out to Mexico. Mexico.
In the United States.
A lot of their values tend to be conservative values.
And I did say shout out to Japan, right? Can't leave Japan, can't leave Korea out, and Mexico. Shout out to all of them.
They have a high respect for Jesus, who we say is a prophet in Islam. They have a high respect for the mother of Jesus, for Mary. So there's that kind of connection with the religion and the idea of God and also love for God.
Notably, Islam offers Latin Americans a cultural familiarity that stretches back to the Moors in Spain.
Latinos soon reconnect with a hidden past. They say Islam is not really that foreign to us. Islam is us, is part of us. 4,000 words from Spanish come from Arabic. Camisa, pantalón, tomate, ensalada.
Muslims in Mexico still face discrimination.
This is so true. Being a Hispanic revert, and I know we have some of the subscribers are Hispanic reverts. This is so true about this that it's a hidden history of ours, that we're never taught this. We don't grow up being taught any of this. This is something you learn later on. And I think it's something that needs to be addressed more often to our family members, for those of us that are Hispanic and are reverts.
However, because of the way in which North American media has linked Islam with terrorism. But to overcome these misconceptions, Latino Muslim organizations have launched a number of initiatives aimed to promoting a better understanding of Islam among the majority Christian population, with groups such as Islam in Spanish coordinating mosque tours and the like, all of which is helping to break down barriers and counter Islamophobia. As you can see, Islam continues to grow rapidly and in unexpected places.
Viral.
Anyway, that's my time for today. Please don't forget to subscribe to this channel, and we kindly ask you please support this endeavor by...
All right, that was another great video by the brother C.J. Werleman. Inshallah, he will become Muslim one day. Inshallah. And, you know, love what he does. Love so many of his programs. And, you know, I definitely enjoyed this. And I'm going to leave it right there until the next one. Inshallah.